This is Evolution Simulator the Sapling, a game where you design plants and animals for your own ecosystem. More specifically, this is the flower update, which I recently released. It adds flowers and bioluminescence, among other things. My favorite part of the game is that you can turn on random mutations, which means that every newborn plant or animal might get something randomly changed to it. This might make it more successful or not, which is of course how evolution works. To showcase the flower update a little bit, I decided to live stream the Evolution Simulator continuously for 1 week on Twitch in the beginning of September, and this is what happened. So I started with a basic starter plant, which is this one, and a basic starter animal, which is this one. In the beginning, of course, everything is still very empty, but you usually see rapid changes and diversification to fill all niches, and this is exactly what happened. In one day, lots of colorful flowers had evolved already. This is of course what I wanted, given that I was showcasing the flower update, but several tests had shown that the chances of this happening are actually quite small, because plants first need to develop pollination at all, animals need to discover that they can eat the nectar, and then plants need to learn that they can take advantage of this. And all of this happened literally overnight, so we were quite lucky there. And while there was lots of variation in the flowers, so far all plants had the same type of leaves, needles, and as a result they could only grow in the colder areas of the world. On the second day something important happened. A fat plant species emerged that was moderately successful in the east of the world. However, one of its descendants a few days later would be extremely successful, so almost all future successful plant species descend from this one. Or, to put it in other words, because of what happens here, we will have a lot of fat plants in the future. Something similar happened to animals, although the results were less extreme. The first animals that evolved the fastest feet, and as a result were very successful because they could collect more food faster, also had weird looking long horizontal necks, so we see a lot of those throughout the world from now on. After 2 days, long snouts specialized for eating nectar had entered the scene. Some of the more successful animals are now relying on nectar only, and because almost all plants have some form of flower, this works rather well. So far, all plants still had needles, and they were more or less trapped in the colder areas of the map. There's one area on the other side of the map that would have been good for them as well, but because they couldn't pass the desert in the middle, they never reached it. But after 3 days, one plant with other leaves emerged in the fat family of plant species. Combined with a better heat-resistant flower, there suddenly was lots of new empty space for it to colonize, so it quickly became extremely successful and we again see rapid diversification. So this is really where the golden age of these fat plants starts. After that, the ecosystem stabilizes around animals eating nectar. Interestingly, plants don't need to worry about leaves getting eaten, and as a result stay rather low to the ground. A final interesting thing that happened is that once the plants reached the other end of the desert, the heat-resistant flower was no longer the only option. So here again we see more variation in the flowers. Among other things, they developed bioluminescence to attract animals. This made a lot of the animals migrate north, leaving the once very populous south now near empty. Because of this, some species of plants there dropped the flowers and relied on wind pollination again. And then the week was over. If you want to run a simulation like this for yourself, you can buy the game at Steam and itch.io, there is a link in the description. And if you want to follow the game's development, there is a Twitter at the Sapling Game and a newsletter to which you can subscribe at thesaplinggame.com/newsletter.